My name is Dylan CineMasai Green, and welcome to the Real Notes podcast. I speak with rappers, producers, journalists, and other hip-hop adjacent figures about their relationship with movies, and, if at all, film inspires their craft. My guest this week is New York rapper, singer, songwriter Sumaya Nazar. We spoke about Love Island, The Princess and the Frog, and all things Disney, the animated films Muhammad, The Last Prophet and Persepolis, growing up in a Haitian-Tunisian household in Washington Heights, how spending time in Tunisia and the United Arab Emirates changed her perspective, recently embracing Islam, finding her voice as an artist, and the creative process behind her latest EP, 1446. Come fuck with us. What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to Real Notes. It's been crazy fucking hot for the last week and a half, or not week and a half, more like 4 or 5 days. But it's a nice, like, it's 73 instead of fucking 102, which is cool. Which is really, really cool. But my name's Dylan Green, CineMasai. Got a lot of names, do a lot of shit, outside, inside, all sides, and yeah, we were just talking about it off camera a little bit, but I'm with somebody today who just put out a really, really cool EP called 1446. She's been out here for a little while, you know, on her like rapper singer shit. Sometimes actress thing that we'll get into in a second. But Sumaya Nazar is here. 1446 is out. Go listen to it or you're fucking stupid. Welcome. How you feeling?
I feel great, bro. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yo, I'm happy to have you here. Thank you so much for wanting to do this. You know, like when I first heard the single, I was like, oh yeah, we definitely need to talk about this. And it's just like the attention that's been surrounding it, and even just like I wanted to bring this up later, but like I love how politically and socially active you are, and how you've kind of just like ingrain that into like your music and your persona, and just like how much you care. And of course, like this is all like a part of your identity. We're talking like it's all just like, it's very full package shit to me. So it was just like a no-brainer to like have you come on and talk about this. I also don't know that you've done very many interviews in the past.
Not really.
So, you know, yeah, nah, like we're all about archiving the dope shit over here. So just, you know, I'm just happy to make this happen, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
But I want to ask you the first question I ask everybody who comes on here, which is, what was the last movie or TV show you watched that you had a strong opinion about?
Like everyone else in America, I've been watching Love Island. So like right before I hopped on here, I was watching it like, oh hell no, and I was definitely embarrassingly so.
That's hilarious. I haven't seen any of the new season. I've only watched like 1 or 2 episodes, but I know everybody's watching this shit right now. So how do you feel about what's happening? Like, don't feel like you need to be like spoiler talker. Like, just tell me how you feel. How you feel?
Honestly, like, I am not big into the show, but I felt like I was watching the whole thing on TikTok anyways. I feel like, I just feel like I know I can never do anything like this. And every second I'm like, how do they find these people? And why are they down? Like, this show is absolutely insane. But I just think, I've been seeing a lot about Huda and Jeremiah. I think Huda, I think girl needs like a little bit of therapy, which is like real.
Yeah.
I just think she needs like to work on herself like a little bit. You know, water her own plant before she tries to other people. That's like my main takeaway, because that's the drama that got me involved in watching it anyways. And I think all the men on the show are like players, and that it's kind of like silly that the girls like have any other expectation besides these men just like playing them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, like half of these shows, like they know exactly the type of men they're trying to grab for this shit. Like, cause like I felt the same way watching. I watched like an episode or 2 of The Ultimatum, not Love Is Blind.
Oh yeah.
whatever the ultimatum show is, where it's like a relationship's on the rocks, and they like put a whole bunch of people in a room and are like, yeah, don't cheat on your partner, like on some shit. And I'm just like, I'm just like, they're like expecting everybody to get messy. Like that's the whole point. That's what everybody wants, you know.
Literally.
But do you have any do you have any favorites? Do you have any like favorite people that like are really doing it for you on Love Island?
Yeah, Alondria seems really cool. Like she just seems really mature and level-headed and just like she's in her 20s and wants to like turn up. And she's really sticking to this whole like I'm from Alabama and I want a country man thing. And I'm like, I respect it because I feel the same way about New York. So like real recognizes real and I'm like, you get your country man, girl.
Yeah. Yeah, nah, like no yeah, you know, like knowing what you want is half the battle when it comes to stuff like that. And just like, you know, like sometimes, you know, like sometimes it's just gotta be like a local tri-state area type of person. You know, like yeah, no, I completely get you. I completely get you. How far into the season is it so far?
Episode 20 just came out, I think, last night.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't know why I felt like a whole new season, or I don't know why I felt like the season just started, but like episode 20 is crazy.
Two, but I
Yeah.
just started going viral. That's why.
Yeah, no, that's probably why. So like dumb question, is this all a part of one season, or is this like a new separate season from the last season?
I think it's a separate season. Honestly, I'm not like a Love
Okay.
Island head. I'm really just here
Okay.
because TikTok influenced me.
Found
But I'm pretty sure they have like probably a UK and an Australian version.
they
They
do. Yeah.
have like hundreds of seasons at this point because I feel like something new drops like every couple months.
Right. The one thing I do know about Love Island is that they get really the music choices on Love Island are always super interesting. You could tell that they either go out of their way to get like the biggest songs they could find, or just like super generic like bullshit songs that cost them pennies on the dollar to fucking license. Like it's like that's the like that's one of the three things I hear people talk about with the show. And I wish I had more background and perspective on it, because, you know, like I like me some reality TV every once in a while. Anybody who says otherwise is probably lying to themselves a tiny bit.
No,
Like we can all talk about the implications of it because it's kind of fucked up, but like we all like the shit every once in a while. It's okay to admit it, you know. Like
I had the Stallion on, and I saw Lizzo was like pushing the fact that her music is going to be on it, and I think this season
mm,
like trying to push like pop music even though like they also rap too, but like huge like artists on the show in a way that like I don't know if they've done previously.
yeah, no, that's yeah, like that's the but to me, Lizzo is somebody I'd expect to hear on a show like Love Island anyway.
Mhm.
Like, you know, like her music really fits that mold, especially the post her post self-imposed isolation period. Like it all just makes perfect sense to me. Like I would naturally expect to hear Lizzo on a show like Love Island,
Facts.
you know. um, but I wanna dig a little more into your viewing history with you. So, what's the first movie experience you can remember having? It could be at the theater, it could be at your cousin's house. Just like the first one that comes to mind for you.
That's a great question. I don't even know actually. What's the first movie experience that I remember having? I can't remember. Like, I definitely had seen movies before this, but for some reason, the first thing that comes to mind is when I think I was 8. Princess and the Frog dropped, and I
Mm-hmm.
at being like a moment, like, oh my god, like there's like a black princess, and I had like a collection of all the Disney princesses, and like none of them were black, and I remember being able to be like, hey, we got one now, and I think that might have been
Yeah.
it. I think I made a big deal out of that movie dropping.
Yeah, like I remember when it came out too. I went to go. I want to say it's one of like the 3 or 4 times I've ever been to like a matinee in my life that like happened before like 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning, because I had a homegirl at the time who really loved going to movies at like 8, 9 o'clock in the morning.
Oh,
So we all pulled up and saw Princess and the Frog, and it was great. I love it to this day. I haven't seen it in some years, but I've seen it a bunch of times. I know a lot of the songs. It's like it's like it's the last Disney movie that I was really invested in to the point where I like remember the songs. That wasn't like Frozen, you know, like
mhm.
you couldn't not hear Let It Go anywhere, and not just like in it's all it's just in there. It's never leaving. But like but yeah, like I love Princess and the Frog. I think it's great. I think Tiana's great. I think all the other characters are great. I think um Shadow Man, Dr. Facilier is incredible. I'm a big Keith David fan. Love his voice. When was the last time you watched Princess and the Frog? Like, how recently did you go? Have you been back to it recently?
Nah. Someone mentioned it to me the other day though,
Mm-hmm.
which is why it's like fresh on my mind, but I cannot even tell you the last time. I think someone was telling me that when they're drunk, they cry to the scene where like the two what are they called again? The bugs that light up. Some people call them light.
Oh yeah, Fireflies. Yeah.
She was telling me that she cries to like that scene or something like that. It was actually Miles's cousin. So that's on my mind.
Damn. Yeah, no, because he gets crushed at the end of the movie and he dies because it was like it kind of fucked me up the first time I saw it.
No.
It's still pretty sad, but like I'm not crying over it at this point. I would sooner cry over you ever see Coco?
Yeah. That whole movie
I
is
nah. Like I saw that one by myself, just dolo in the theater, and I was like the scene that always gets me is when he's playing the guitar for his grandma and she starts to remember and starts talking and singing.
yeah.
Yeah, I like, you know, like that one to this day I cry every time I watch it. It's really it really touches me.
Yeah. Also when Mustafa
You know.
dies in Lion King.
Yeah, of course. You know, like that's good. Yeah, no, that's gonna be in my heart forever. You know, like that's like just like across generations, just gonna fuck everybody up when you think about
Yeah.
it. Yeah, but I mean, like, I'd recommend checking out Princess and the Frog again because I've been thinking about it a lot too because I know they just I got news, or I mean it's been open for a while, but they renovated Splash Mountain in Disney World and they completely changed it to it's Princess and the Frog theme now.
Oh what?
So they have like all the animatronics and everything because like we all know Splash Mountain is wild racist and they were like we're not doing this anymore. Let's make it Princess and the Frog. So I haven't been to Disney World. I just saw the news and it was like, oh, it's
Yeah,
cool.
I
So
never been.
yeah, like it's oh no, like I've been a handful of times. I think the last time I might have gone was like 10, no, not 10 years ago. My partner and I went in 2018, so it's been like almost 10 years.
Years, yeah.
It's yeah, you know, it's been almost 10 years, but but either way, yeah, nah. Like I remember seeing Princess and the Frog, and it really touching and connecting with me. And yeah, like I said, Coco fucking devastates me every time I watch it.
Coco
So
is sad, bro. Coco is
yeah,
sad.
yeah. But it's like but it's ultimately really full of joy and happiness.
Yeah,
Like everything you know, like everybody comes back together in the end, even if they're just like the ghost ancestors and the skeletons. Like
yeah,
just you know, it's like everyone's where they need to be. Everyone's together. He can access the two realms because he's got the guitar, and the dog will look at you cockeyed and that'll make you laugh and shit. Like yeah,
it's
it's
a perfect
I love Coco.
movie. Like there's such a good balance of like emotions and happiness and
Yeah,
the animations are gorgeous. The soundtrack is great.
right.
Yeah, shout out Coco.
Yeah, nah, you really can't go wrong. You know, like I can't remember where I heard or saw people talking about it, but just like the notion that some people were like, "Oh, I'm not really like trying to rate an animated movie or a cartoon like that as an adult." I'm like, fuck that shit. Like, I love cartoons. I've always loved them. There's like, you know, like if the movie's good, the movie's good. I don't really care if it's animated or not. Like, and obviously, there's also like a ton of adult animation out there really good and interesting, thought provoking, or or it could just be like fun, just like bullshit, edgy shit, which I have a lot of feelings about sometimes. Sometimes people try a little too hard to provoke to get a reaction out of you.
Yeah.
But like just the general notion of like animations only for kids has never really stuck with me.
Yeah, I think that's ridiculous.
You
It's
know?
its own art form, and I feel like
Yeah.
animators deserve like as much like credit as like any other artist, and I don't think it should be like that's some kid shit. Like what?
Yeah.
How like someone could like make something beautiful and profound, but their medium is animation.
Right. Word. Yeah. Nah. It's just like it really isn't art. It takes forever to. I'm like I don't really know that anybody ever masters it because like I don't know if anybody ever masters any kind of art in the sense that there's always more stuff to learn and more stuff to do and like all my favorite artists are people who are just like yeah like I'm ready for the next one like
Yeah, we're
but what was the I'm like before we do a quick little time jump what was do you like now that we're on the subject do you remember the last animated movie or anything you watched that like really kind of grabbed the hold of you?
the last animated movie that I watched. Actually, interestingly enough, the last animated movie that I watched was like this documentary that they like not documentary, but it's like the story of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, that
Uh-huh.
like they usually show kids. And one of my friends, she converted to Islam. And during Ramadan, like I just wanted to like show her like the story, and I had never seen that version, but it's super popular. So that was the last one I watched, and honestly, like it's a perfect example of like if it's a good story, it's a good story. Like it doesn't matter how
Right.
it's delivered to you. Like I was extremely moved by like hearing the
um
prophet's story through animation.
how long is it is it like a short?
No, it's probably like 2 hours long.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay, 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 okay.
Yeah.
It's full length. That's cool. I mean, like, well, before I toss a recommendation at you, what's it called, and how old is it? Do you know? Is it recent?
No, it's probably from like 15, 20 years ago because a lot of my friends grew up watching it.
Okay,
I have to find the
gotcha.
name of it. Um, but we ended up watching it because there's this other really, really famous prophetic like movie called The Message, and they have a version in Arabic and a version in English. And like one has
Mm.
British actors and one has like Arab actors. And yeah, it's like really famous. Actually, my parents got my name from the movie, and so I was gonna put that on. And then our other friend who we were with was like, "Wait, have you ever seen the animated one?" And we were like, "No, that sounds fun though."
That's great. I mean, like, I've definitely heard of the message. I've never seen it, but I know what it is. Like you said, it's really, really famous.
Yeah.
But like you talking about this animated joint reminded me of you ever see or hear of it's a graphic novel that was turned into a movie called Persepolis.
No, actually, I've never heard of that.
So Persepolis is a story. Oh, I'm forgetting the author's name. Marjan Strapi, I think her name is. But she wrote this graphic novel. It's like an autobiographical graphic novel about or yeah, it's an autobiographical graphic novel. Kind of chronicling her time from being a kid growing up in Iran around the time that the Shah was in power and when the U.S. was toppling the regime. And then she winds up moving to Europe to go to college, and then she stays there, and it's just the whole. Like the whole movie is just about her being Iranian in Europe and just like kind of exploring her identity as a Muslim and
Mm.
just like her faith and it's like I remember reading it. It was either middle school or high school when I read the book, but it's like it's really amazing. Like it looks dope. The whole thing is done in black and white, and it's just about like her relationship with music and religion and just like her growing up to become an animator and a cartoonist. And I think she does. I think she might even be a film director now because I think she wrote and directed the film adaptation of the movie, which is like I read the book first and then I saw the movie because I liked the book so much, and it's like it's really incredible. Like she's a like I don't know where you can the movie might actually be kind of easy to find now. It wasn't before, but it's super dope. Like the animation's gorgeous. and it's very much a cool document of history and just like this person's just like like just like somebody being in the world at such a tumultuous time, like especially for somebody who's Muslim. Like it was very illuminating to me as somebody who's not Muslim.
Mhm.
So I mean, like I really appreciated it, and I think if you can, you should find it. It's definitely one of those that'll like bust your head.
Out because I've been wanting to get into more like Iranian films too. Just because everything that I see, like whenever I see short clips of them or like stills or stuff, whether they're from like 1970 or like yesterday, they're absolutely beautiful. And it makes sense because
Mm-hmm.
obviously Persians have such a long history of storytelling, and such a
Yeah,
famous one too. But I really, really want to make an effort to like get into more Iranian films because
yeah.
they are always like I always hear amazing things about them. There was just that Iranian play on Broadway. Yeah,
Right, right, right.
yeah, which I didn't get to see because I was abroad for most of the time it was up, but yeah, I think that they're amazing storytellers.
Yeah, yeah, no, like they're beautiful. Their stories and the way they tell them are gorgeous. And
Mm-hmm.
like Persepolis is definitely a good kind of baseline. Let me start here, type thing. Yeah, like the book was a big deal when it came out. The movie was a big deal when it came, or like a relatively big deal when it came out. So yeah, I'll send you a trailer later. It's super dope. I liked it a ton.
And I'll find the
But
name of the like cartoon version of the Prophet Muhammad,
yeah.
peace be upon him story, and I'll send it to you.
Yeah, please. Yeah, no, I'm super duper interested. um so as you get older and you start to develop your tastes, expand or rather expand your tastes, develop your palate, and like I assume come a little come a little closer to your faith. I like to think of this moment as a capital M movie, like one that you saw, stopped you in your tracks, and really connected with you in an emotional or artistic or spiritual sense, like something that was just more than 90 minutes of pure entertainment, you know.
Something that I revisited the other day was actually Moonlight.
Mm,
Everyone talks about that movie, but I just think it's because like while we see like those visual motifs, especially around like black masculinity a lot now, it's because
mm,
of that movie.
yeah, man.
Like you can't like I don't know, you can't like get rid of that ever, and you can never take that away from the film and the people who worked on it. And so whenever I revisit Moonlight, it's always like an experience of almost rebirth, especially seeing it after coming back from being abroad, because I think I had to intentionally um consume a lot of media once I came back just to like remind myself of like the fullness of like black American culture, and like remind
Right.
myself of like everything that I left and like what I'm coming back to. um because like there aren't movies like that abroad, like no one was talking about films like that or artists that embody that kind of work, like Solange in music.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was always very
Yeah.
mainstream, like catch-all-y kind of films.
Right. I want to get more into those ideas, but I want to dig a little more into Moonlight because I also just rewatched it recently because it was they brought it back for its 10th anniversary, or like maybe it wasn't the 10th anniversary, but they like rescreened it in theaters for some reason, so I pulled up and saw it cuz it's one of my favorite movies ever. I saw it when it first came out and just yeah, that's that's another one that definitely makes me cry. Like I was definitely shedding tears in the audience. You get to the end and he's like, no, I've never let anyone else touch me. Like bro, what are you doing?
I
But
chose.
where, but where did you last watch it, and what do you think? Or like, yeah, where did you last watch it, and what do you think of it now? Like, how is it? Yeah.
I last watched it right here, where I am
Uh
out
huh.
in my bedroom. Um, I feel like for me, I was looking at it from more of a visual perspective than I normally would because I'm a very wordy person. I really cling on to like the script of a movie. I lead with my words in my own life, and I'm not super visually inclined. But that's something that I'm trying to work on. And so I I watched it very intentionally, being like, okay, what are their lighting choices? Like, how are they setting up this shot? Like, I've been around like my friends who have a production company called 1495 a lot, and like when they go to think about how they want something to look, they automatically start talking about lenses and like things that I just don't have the knowledge about or like the vocabulary for yet. So I was watching it kind of from the perspective of like a student or like a filmmaker and trying to see what appealed to me visually because I'm already familiar with the storyline.
Right. Wow. So I mean, like, what did you notice this time? Because yeah, I mean, like, Moonlight is such a cinematic, graphically rich movie.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, for me, the color grading is just like
Mm-hmm.
absolutely amazing and like genuinely like a lot of people don't know how to edit things for darker skin tones because that's just not like the industry
Mm-hmm.
standard that has always been like taught over time. Um and I think like the entire cast, no matter how they look, like absolutely shines in that movie. So just looking at like how they're able to just like do things on like the editing side to always like honor like the storyline and like who this movie is like for and the communities that it caters to. And I was also really interested in like the colors that they were using. I'm a huge fan of like blues and like cool tones, and a lot of my own like color inspiration comes from like the beach and
Mm-hmm.
and like the water as well, and obviously that's a huge part of Moonlight, so kind of seeing like how they use that to build their metaphors.
Right. Yeah. Nah. Like, outside of Moonlight and at the time Insecure were make like those two, that movie and that show were making this huge push for like everything you said, just the notion that people don't really know how to light and block black skin
Mm-hmm.
on screen, and they really made a concerted effort to do that in a way that looked, like looked good, and like somebody wasn't drowning in darkness or like just like like completely brightened to the point where they look like they're a completely different like it
Yeah.
just they really they made a concerted effort to do that, and I've appreciated that about the movie for years, but like watching it again a few months ago really made me appreciate it way more, because like they were, not only were they super ahead of their time, it just looks great, like even if you like forget the technical aspect, it's just a gorgeous movie to look at. Like every frame's a painting.
Yeah, for sure.
The thing that but the thing that really got me this time was the score. Like like I thought about I like I had always loved the music, and like particularly the chopped and screwed version of Classic Man they have on the soundtrack when he's when him and Dre or when Chiron, and why am I forgetting the other guy's name? Was it Kevin? I think his name was Kevin.
I don't.
I'm gonna
Horrible names.
I'm gonna look it up real quick and just make sure I didn't fuck that up. Kevin. Yeah, I was right. Okay. Okay. I shouldn't have doubted myself. So yeah, when Chiron and Kevin are driving and they're playing the Classic Man Chopped and Screwed remix, but before, like there are elements of the score where they're taking the stuff they composed for the movie and slowing it down and chopping and screwing it, and I didn't realize they had done that in a couple scenes. Like there's a song played earlier in the movie that gets slowed down and remixed at a later point in the movie, and I didn't realize that that's what was happening until I went home and read it and thought about it, and I was like, oh wow, that really is that. So
Damn, I
that was just like
didn't
a
peep
whole
that.
other element that I just. What'd you say?
I didn't even peep that either.
Yeah, yeah, no, this shit was crazy. It had me, yeah, no, it had me geeking in the theater a little bit. It was really cool. But yeah, it's just so many layers. Like it's really just one of those that you could watch for 5 or 6 different reasons and come away with 5 or 6 different reactions that all revolve around this movie's amazing to me.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
so
Like in every
yeah,
aspect.
yeah. Um, but now that but like now that we're here, well actually no, before we move on to the music aspect, you've mentioned a couple times that you went abroad, and like talk to me about when you did that, because it was like fairly, it wasn't super recently.
It was
Tell me,
recent. It was like pretty recent. I
okay,
came back in January.
okay,
Um,
okay,
yeah. So, sorry. Last year,
you're good.
I pretty much left the country for the first time. Mostly through my school. But in January, I had gone to Ghana for like 2 weeks, which was amazing. I went to Cape Coast, Kumasi, Accra,
Mm-hmm.
came back. And then in May of last year, I went to Tunis for like almost a month. And then I came back, was here for a little bit. And then at the end of August, I left to go study at NYU Abu Dhabi. And I spent a semester
Mm-hmm.
studying there. And while I was there, I also took a couple other like short trips and I visited Malaysia, I visited Saudi Arabia, I visited Bali, and then did another stop in Tunis for like a little bit less than a month before I came
Wow.
in January of 2025.
So, so like, so how long was this for? Like, when did you leave?
My like long trip abroad was from the end of August until mid January.
August until mid January.
Yeah.
Okay. And wow, and I mean, like, you were just talking about how you kind of had to readjust yourself to perceptions of American culture and blackness. Like talk to me a little bit more about that. I'm really, really fascinated by what that shift was for you while you were abroad.
I mean, I think like when I first came back to New York, without even realizing it, it was just like a sigh of relief. Honestly, like
Yeah.
I came back right before MLK Day, and I was also speaking at the Apollo on MLK Day, so I think like the
Right.
significance of Black American culture was just on my like the forefront of my mind more than ever, but especially after being so far away from it. But I think abroad, like so much of American culture is Black America, and American culture has like dominated the world for decades now. And so like where there are pieces and fragments of what I consider to be like my culture as a Black American, in the places that I went, like 100%. And also like I did go to Tunisia multiple times, and my father's from Tunisia, so it wasn't like
Yeah.
in my trips abroad I felt like I was places where I didn't belong. That wasn't it. But
Of course.
there's just a certain sense of home, like being in New York and like experiencing the culture that we have here. Like the whole time I was abroad from August to January, I did not have any Caribbean food. My mom is half Haitian. My grandma's from Haiti. Like, I don't play that. Like, I need
Yeah.
a place of rice. I need my place of beans. I need to go to the Jamaican
Right.
and get a beef patty. I live in Crown Heights. Like, I need to be able to go to the Trini
Yeah.
spot and get doubles and roti. Like, I need to be able to go to the Haitian spot and get my pate. Like, I was like, okay. Like, there were definitely
Staples. Yeah.
100%. And there were definitely parts of me missing while I was like exploring other parts of me. And so just like being able to come back to New York where like all of the pieces of myself like make sense was just like, oh, I missed you.
And yeah, you're coming back with like different. You're coming back with a different perspective too. Like, what did you learn about yourself and the world while you were abroad that kind of stuck with you and made your return feel different?
I mean, I learned a lot about I learned a lot that informed my previous experiences. I went to Tunis for the first time, and like I said, my father's from there, so being Tunisian has always been a big part of my life. But having not had the
Yeah.
opportunity to actually visit the country and visit my family there, um, there always felt like a disconnect. And the second I went to Tunisia, I was like, oh wait, I was raised way more Tunisian than I assumed. Like some things,
Yeah. You're like, this is home.
no,
Yeah.
literally, like some things you just can't get rid of, and they just like are who you are. And that's my dad with Tunis. You place him in Brooklyn for like however many years, like or New York for however many years, it's not gonna change like who he is at his core. And so like going to Tunisia and realizing how many parts of me like are a reflection of that country, that was like definitely an eye-opening experience, and also like going to the Arabian Gulf and
Mm,
realizing how different the Gulf is from the rest of the Arab world as someone who is North African, and how similar it is to the US, um, was like a huge shock for me at first, and actually felt like culture shock in a way that Tunisia did not ever feel like culture shock.
right.
Just didn't meet my expectations. And I just met a lot of people from a lot of different places and learned so much about like different conflicts around the world. Met people who survived things that like I don't think I could live through for a day. And just kind of realizing like my privilege, my power as someone with privilege, and realizing that I want to be someone who always steps outside of the box that I was like born into as someone born in like a major city in the West. Because honestly, being from New York, you never have to leave.
Yeah.
You never have to leave. But like deciding that I am going to be someone who will always leave to learn and come back, that was powerful for me.
I'm sure. I'm really fascinated
My
by
fault.
how
Sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to
being
shout
on
out the Real
Gulf.
Notes Patreon one time. For as little as $5 a month, you get exclusive goodies like video of every interview, 2-day early access to every interview, an invite to the Real Notes Discord server, exclusive access to the Real Talk Movie Night archive, and early pre-sale links for all live events. If you want to give a little more, you get other exclusives like retro 60-second movie reviews and monthly 90-minute workshops with me, where we can discuss whatever creative questions or projects you might have going on. Head over to patreon.com/realnotes. That's REELNOTES to join right now. I repeat, all videos will only be available on the Patreon. Thanks for listening. Shout out to my patrons. Now let's get back to talking.
Was more like America than you expected it to be? Like, in what ways was it similar
Um,
as opposed to Tunisia?
well, everyone speaks English all the time,
Mm,
everywhere. And it wasn't just because I was at an American school, but my perspective, having lived there for a couple months, was that like the common language that people speak is English. Because also the
mm,
country, like Emiratis are a minority in their own country, and Arabs are a minority in the country. Like the majority of the country is like Southeast Asians or people working there from Europe or people studying there, like myself. Like there are so many people who come from other parts of the world where Arabic isn't spoken, that like English is kind of the common ground. So like all of the signs are like definitely in English, probably in both English and Arabic, but it's pretty rare to see something in Arabic and not have any English with it. People speak English all the time. People who grow up there like learn American English and not like British English as much from my experience. There's like Joe and the Juice and like any American business you can think of is there. Um,
wow.
yeah, so I never felt like sometimes I would forget that I was in the Gulf and not just like in a part of the US that I had never been to before.
Mm.
That
Yeah, nah, like that. That sounds that sounds like it'd be kind of disorienting because it's just because like it's like it's home away from home, but it's not quite that because I'm sure because I'm sure it wasn't like a full one of one like this is home, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And there's definitely things about the UAE that are like unique to the country itself. So I don't want to make it seem
Right.
like they're just like America like copied and pasted, but it was more similar to America than Tunisia, which I was like, oh.
Right. And I mean like just because I'm curious, like what about like I mean like you mentioned like seeing your family and realizing that you were raised a little more culturally Tunisian than you might have initially thought. But what was it like being in Tunisia and like being around your family and kind of soaking in the homeland firsthand?
Over a year later and I still don't have the words to describe it, especially because I went twice. So I experienced Tunis like in two very different like seasons and moods with two very different like ambiances. But for me, I think it was the most profound lesson about love that I have ever been taught in my life. Seeing how people who had never like met me in real life, but like I've known my whole life and like always kept up with and always saw pictures of, welcome me like I had lived next door the whole time, was such a humbling experience. And also like Tunisian hospitality is like unmatched. And like the second like I got to like my uncle's house, my aunt like took her shoes off and like gave me her shoes. It was like, here are your like house slippers now, and like food was ready for me, and like immediately ran and like got me like a house dress to wear and like feel comfortable. And it was like there was no like introduction, it was just like you're automatically family, you're automatically loved to the fullest extent. I was automatically treated like how my aunt and uncle treat their own children, and honestly
Right.
and it was just the most profound lesson on love. I had been there during the Eid where like you sacrifice an animal, so seeing like how the community comes together for that, and like how
Wow.
people like raise and take care of like the animals that they are like going to eventually eat, and like seeing the relationship that people have with their food, and just like so much just like hit me in that month. Seeing the relationship that my dad has to his brothers, and also coming back and seeing how moved my mom was by how well they treated me, because honestly they didn't owe me anything, and I was treated like a princess by everyone in my family, strangers, their friends, people in the neighborhood, the entire time that I was in Tunis. So
Hey man, shout out. Like that's you really you can't put a price on that kind of treatment and just automatic acceptance, and just like you know, just like it doesn't matter if you've only been on if you've only been here for 10 seconds, like
mm-hmm.
you're here now, like
Yeah.
welcome to the collective family. That's everything. And I love to hear that, you
Yeah,
know.
I'm really lucky in that way. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So I mean, like similarly to a capital M movie we were talking about before, when did music become capital M music for you? Like not even in terms of you wanting to make it, but just being fascinated by music and really being like attentive to it.
Not even like to be cliche, but like actually since birth. And it's like to the
Let's go.
point where like my parents, like they just can't even deny it. Like, especially my mom has like always supported it because she always saw me. But I come from an extremely musical family. Everyone in my family can sing but my dad. Do not hand that man a mic. But my dad has been drumming since he was like very young in Tunisia, and he does like traditional styles of like African and Arab drumming all of the time. Like if we're in the car, he's drumming on the steering wheel. If we're waiting for our food at a restaurant, he's drumming on the table. If we're home, he's playing like folk music from our country, or like classical music from
Yeah.
Egypt or Lebanon or something, and drumming along to it. Like that was always a constant, and I think that's where I get a lot of my rhythm from, like as a rapper. Um,
Yeah.
and my mom, like, she was a whole singer, bro. She was a whole singer who was like shopping around with like Motown and stuff like that. And then, you know, coming from like honestly, a strict like immigrant Caribbean family, they were like doctor or lawyer. And so she picked
Right.
and didn't get to pursue music like I have the opportunity to. My brother was the first person to tell me to write a rap because he was always writing them. Like I was constantly surrounded by music, and a wide variety of music, whether it was like Love by Keisha Cole, or like
Yeah.
a 40-minute like Kulthum song from Egypt, or J. Cole's like unreleased deep cuts from YouTube. Like I was just around a lot.
um yeah, I mean, I completely relate, just being around all different kinds of music from not necessarily from all around the world. Like there was stuff coming from all around the world, but like, you know, like my father's Black American, my mom's white, so like the culture clash there was just, you know, like the culture clash there was just imminent regardless. But there really is something to say of just like being in that area and then just kind of realizing like, damn, like I really am just like the sum of my parts,
Yeah,
you know? Like
for sure. And also growing up, my mom had me in like a lot of just like Caribbean spaces, whether it was like a Haitian hair salon in Queens or a Dominican hair salon here, or like my like Puerto Rican aunties' houses or my Jamaican aunties' houses, and like everyone was always, always, always playing music and loud, like Caribbean people play
right.
music mad loud. So it's something that you can never ignore. And it's something that's
Yeah.
always super communal and like the kids are involved and it's participatory. So like dance hall and reggae. Reggae was big in my house. My dad's a huge reggae fan. Compa, zouk, different kinds of like music from the Caribbean, bachata, merengue, all of it was like engraved in my brain from a young age.
Oh, I'm sure. And yeah, like especially being in New York, like you know like music, you know like loud music is going to be playing anywhere in the city, you know, like you know like, especially where you were at. So like you know like you would just mention that your brother was one of the first people to tell you that you should rap. When did your relationship with rap music start?
First of all, so much love to my brother and shout out to my brother. He still like releases music under the name AWOL. And he's
Shout out.
amazing. Yeah, shout out AWOL. But when I think rap was definitely always in my life because one of the only albums my mom 100% played from start to finish all the time was Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. And I think that
Mm-hmm.
in like everything I do, hopefully, because that is like one of like like that was always around. And that was like the only rap that my mom has ever really been big into herself. And I think
Uh-huh.
mom's taste in music had a huge influence on me. But I grew up in the era of like every kid's birthday party you gave or received the iTunes gift cards. And like I grew up in the era of like actually like buying it for like 99 cents or like 3.99
Uh-huh.
whatever. Um and so when I was in 4th grade, when I was in 3rd grade, I got an iPod Touch, which meant that I could then download all of the music that everyone else in my family was already listening to. So like the basis of like my independent music discovery or listening to was like whatever my family was listening to, but now it was like individual and not like communal, and I could like internalize it. Then I got to 4th grade. It was my birthday. I got them gift cards. Baby, I got the
Yeah, man.
Nicki Minaj. That was my first album I ever bought with my own money. The Pink Print by Nicki Minaj. Point blank.
The accent fully came out, so I know it's real too. That's hilarious.
I can't even like try to be like media trained when I'm talking about like the Pink Print. But
That's fine, bro.
that was like the first album I ever bought. I got in so much trouble everywhere I went because I would not stop playing the songs, but I was like 9. So that was like not appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
But I would get in trouble at school for like listening to it in like the back of the class. I would get in trouble at dance class for like putting it on. Feeling myself was like low key the reason why that was like the first time I was like NYU. Like that album actually had a huge impact on me. But that was like the first time I ever got into rap music on my own. And I think like anyone who says like I'm not like a huge Barb, to be honest. I'm not like
Uh-huh.
stand for like any artist, but I think any female rapper um who came after Nicki Minaj or during Nicki Minaj who says that like she didn't influence their sound, it's just like not telling the truth,
Yeah.
you know? And
Right.
Nicki Minaj
Yeah.
definitely influenced like how I think to like deliver messages or like deliver lines and like the way that she's animated, like yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nah, like I'm with you 100%. Like yeah, no, like even if you're not a huge Barb, like Nicki's impact at that time really can't, and you know like that's not even counting the mixtape run and Pink Friday, you know, like all that stuff had already happened. So you know, like Pink Print, you know, like Nicki was like Pink Print was kind of like her commercial peak in that sense. So yeah, like I remember when the album came out and like Feeling Myself was a huge deal.
Yeah.
Only with Drake and that other guy was on there. And the one song from that project that really stayed with me, and to this day, I don't know if I've said this on here before, but to this day, I'm still confused why it was a bonus track and not and not just like on the original version, was Truffle Butter. That's my favorite Nicki song ever. I love Truffle Butter. I love the beat. I love her verse. I love Drake's verse. They play it at basketball games all the time now, and I'm just like, why wasn't this on the original album? Like, why did you have to pay the extra $6-7 for the deluxe edition just for that song to just be like to like proliferate everywhere? I love that shit, man. Like to this day, I love Truffle Butter. What a great song.
I really like All Things Go. I feel like objectively, maybe it's not like the best like song. Like it is like pretty 2014 and like speaks to like the that we were in back then. But like it's the most vulnerable like Nicki Minaj has like probably ever been in her music, that like one track. And because that was like my like individual introduction to her as an artist, I think that has influenced like how brave I'm willing to be like on my projects, because I saw like this international superstar like talk about like fighting with her family and having an abortion and like losing people.
Right.
Like, word. And then on the next track be like, me and Beyonce are feeling ourselves.
Like we're all about duality over here. Like you can be both. You don't have to hide one or the other. And then like, and like it's funny because another one of my favorites on there is also a very like 2014 song. I love like love is a strong word, but The Night Is Still Young gets stuck in my head a lot. Like the hook, it's just like like it's just in there forever. Like even if I don't want to think about it, just like the night is still young. It's like very fucking like very like crunchy, stompy EDM. Like very much of its era. Like very much a time capsule of a bygone age type shit. But it's just like it's like goofy and silly and dumb, but. The night is still young and so are we. Fuck it, like.
It's recession music.
For real. Oh, that's funny as hell. So I mean, like, you have this thing going on with like once again back to the duality of like Lauryn Hill, Nicki Minaj. Like, you really start to like I assume from there you really start to dig into rap a bit more, and at some point in your life and career you decide you want to start making music. When did you first know that music was going to become more than just a hobby for you and something that you were actively pursuing and wanted to be a part of?
To be honest, like I knew my first memory, like wallah, I swear to God, my first memory is of like being aware that like music was something like tangible and serious and something that I wanted to do. I think I was like an oddly like serious and like business minded child, and I would just like go around everywhere telling my parents that like I wanted to perform. If anything looked slightly like a stage, I would like hop on it and like do shows. And I vividly remember thinking that the doorknobs in my house looked like microphones in recording studios, and like being that small and like putting my like hands to my ears like I have headphones, and like people would just like walk into rooms and like find me singing into a doorknob.
Oh.
And I know that vision that I had at a strangely young age was strong enough for my mom to be like, okay, she really likes performing, why don't I get her into acting? Because my brother was like doing acting classes at the time and was trying to like focus on it more professionally, and my mom would like drive me to like his classes, and I would nag like, okay, now I want to do this, now I want to do this, now I want to do this, now I want to do this. And somehow I remember having the thought process of like, this seems like the easiest way to get to what I really want to do. But, unfortunately, no one's throwing 4-year-olds in the studio.
Right.
So I started acting professionally, taking classes from like 4 to 5 years old, like booked my first job, and started acting like professionally from there. and my acting quickly came to like include music. And so I, from a young age, saw myself having like a really serious like musical theater career at this point. So I really can't pinpoint a moment where I was like, oh, music is like real and I can do it. It's just like my idea of what it looks like for me has evolved over time, if that makes sense. So like I started writing songs like elementary school. It was kind of like whatever. Started really seriously writing from my own personal experience in the 7th grade. Wrote a rap to oh my god, what's that Earl Sweatshirt song with Wiki? AM slash
AM radio.
Yeah, AM radio, facts.
AM radio, yeah.
First rap at like 12 or 13 to that beat.
Wow.
Yeah. I've been like trying to find it since. Or that I wrote my serious rap.
To cut you off, I'm so sorry. What was it for the beat? Was it for the beat to AM, the beat to radio, or you just wrote it to both?
I wrote it
to both the things.
Beat to AM. Like the 19s,
gotcha. Okay.
Still getting kicked out the crib.
Getting kicked out the crib. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was the first time I had ever wrote a rap on my own. Like before that, my brother, like on the train one day was like, write a rap, and I was in like 4th grade, and I wrote a rap that I will never forget. That was like 4 bars long about how people, like how girls were like too obsessed with like Justin Bieber at the time. The moment, to get to my final point, the moment when I was really like, nah, I want to do music and I want to do it in the way that I'm doing it now, was when I did the Clive Davis NYU high school program. And like I just actually got to see the industry for the first time. And that was like mind-blowing. Like everyone thinks of New York as being like this hub of the music industry, but like if you're actually from here, bro, those doors are so close to you. Like I did not know what was going on for real. And having Clive open that door for me changed my life.
Yeah, no, like as it will. I've had the opportunity to be over there a couple times, over hearing things. We were recording our podcast, the first season of our podcast over there, and just like getting the chance to like kick it with a lot of the students and just like see the vibe and get to like be there and take it all in and just like see the way y'all were working over there was really, really cool to me. And like, like as somebody who had never been to Clive Davis before, but who also, like you, what's it called? Like my sister and I were also like we for a period of time we did like go see stuff and would like audition to be like in acting shit and try out for musicals. I never got any roles. I don't think either of us did, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong. Joe, I'm really sorry if I fucked that up. Please correct me when you hear this. But yeah, no, like neither of us, like we both kind of transitioned out of that, of course. But just hearing you talk about that whole experience, like I've been in a few of those rooms as a little kid and taking the press photos and stood in front of the table and read from this. Yeah, like I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But I also understand, using that or not even using that as like this is what I really want to do. It's just kind of like, how do I want to apply this? Like, what do I want to do with myself? And eventually finding that like journalism and writing and I guess now podcasting was kind of just like, like I'm involved and I'm active, but I don't need to, for lack of a better word, perform.
Yeah.
I mean, like I guess I kind of in some respect I'm performing. In some respect, all of this shit is performance. But like this was just more comfortable for me in the same way that making music was more comfortable for you.
Facts. And also like I have so much appreciation for hearing things, and like the Clive, yeah, like we fuck with y'all like 100%. I didn't know y'all had recorded there, but I'm pretty sure I hit you up like had this one journalism class last semester, and we were talking about y'all, and I was just like, you know what, hell yeah, like learning
Thank you,
about like
man.
the business structure and the context in which hearing things like came from, and like just knowing more outside of like seeing you guys post about it or like following the journalists. I was just like, this is like real shit. And I feel like 10 years from now, 15 years from now, Clive will still be talking about hearing things, but in a much bigger way, inshallah.
Well, thank you. That means a lot. Like, yeah, like especially since we've like transitioned and into like this next phase, and we're planning things out. Like tonight, like I mean, like when this comes out, it'll have already happened. But tonight's our summer show. So we're like, well, so like even while we're talking, I'm like having to email people and like make like last minute like changes and additions to the set list, whatever. So like just like I don't know, like when like I remember when you hit me about that, and it really meant a lot to hear. It's just it's just nice to know that what we're doing is reaching people, and that people appreciate it, like across ages and like disciplines and all that shit. Like it's all of it means more than I could say. I'm just happy to be rocking with my co-founders because they're all amazing people.
And congrats on being 100% worker owned.
Thank you.
Congrats.
It feels amazing, like now it almost feels like we're legit in a way that we weren't before, if that makes sense. So yeah, man. But I wanna dig I wanna dig a little more specifically into like your like the early part of your music career, like talking like Bugs Life remix era, like when you really started to like, yeah, that's what I'm here for, like. But yeah, I mean, like we don't need to dwell too long if you don't want to, but just like when
I love that. I was such a baby.
Yeah, no, like I'm so like I'm so curious about like, because like I know you've made songs before that and have performed and done all that stuff, and like I hinted at before, you were on an episode of New Amsterdam, which is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Like, so you're in the performance aspect already, but then you decide to like actually start putting out music on your own. What happened with a Bugs Life? What happened with Bugs Life remix? How did you feel about putting it out then, and how do you feel about it looking back a few years later? Because it's only been like 3 years since then, right?
Yeah, I think I dropped it maybe like the first day of 2022 or something like that.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, it's really only been 3 years, but when I dropped it, I was halfway through my senior year of high school. And now, inshallah, I'm going into my senior year of college. So even though it's like 3 years, it's like I've changed so much during that time. So it feels really long ago.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, Tierra Whack, man.
Yeah.
The blueprint. Like, Tierra Whack is just like amazing. I feel like outside of Lauryn Hill, Tierra Whack was the first female rapper I saw at a place I wanted to get to, doing things that I wanted to do in a way I wanted to do it. Just like as me and not as Tierra, because I think like her identity and her experiences are so clear in her work. But yeah, I love Tierra Whack, and it only made sense for my first like public thing to walk in her footsteps, because like at the time that I was in high school, like she was the like conscious female rapper who had something to say. Like previous generations had Rhapsody, like this generation like Samara Sin and Doechii, but like for me as a teenager, it was Tierra Whack. And I thought it was so cool that she dropped that project where everything was like a minute or less, and it was very
Whack World, everything.
Yeah, it was very welcoming for me, because I was like, I bet I just gotta spit a little bit and then I can like hop off of this real quick. And yeah, that beat really spoke to me, and what Tierra Whack did on it, I remember hearing it for the first time and being like, I would never think of this. So that was also like another invitation for me to like hop on it, because I was like, okay, cool, I could definitely like do something that's different, and not just like straight up copy her. But yeah, I think for
Mm-hmm.
me, like, I really love going back and listening to Bugs Life remix, and I almost performed it on Friday because it's kind of crazy how much Bugs Life, like, you could take Bugs Life remix and put it on 1446, and I think that's insane. And
I think so too. Yeah.
you can't do that with like some of my songs that came after. So like the fact that like, you know, 3 years later, I'm clearly still staying true to myself without having to like hold myself to any limitation. That's like very comforting. I listen to Bugs Life remix and I'm like, I'm doing my younger self a service, and like I haven't like sold out or become ingenuine or lost touch with myself, and that feels really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean like that song is that's a really challenging song to rap over if you like don't know what like for that to be the first thing that you put out. Like that was one of my favorite beats when I first heard the project. I also love Whack World. I think it's amazing to this day. As much as I like Tierra, I wish I liked the last album she put out more.
Mm.
Like it wasn't my favorite. There's a bunch of really good songs on it. I just don't think it held together as well as Whack. You know, like a project like Whack World has to be rock solid, being like 15 1 minute songs. Like you can't. There's no filler. You know, like there's no room. There's no room for error on a project like that. So for you to kind of insert yourself in there and just go was pretty bold, and you know like
I what I was doing.
made it work. Yeah, you made it work, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know like so like from there like talk to me about gradually starting to put more music out. Like you start putting out a couple EPs and some singles and start like performing for real, like doing shows and shit. Like talk to me about kind of easing yourself a bit more into being a rapper, singer, musician for real.
Yeah, I was the queen of having a vault to the point where like everyone in my life was like super annoyed with me and was like, bro, like if you don't start dropping these songs, I would like perform at like my friend shows or stuff around my school, or you know, just like regular like you're 17 and like to rap and sing type shit. And people would be like, this is really cool. When are you going to release it? And I had no plan to ever release anything. I recorded and mixed everything in my room. I had no concept of things being mastered. Still to this day, not the best at mixing. So definitely when I was like 16, 17, 18, it wasn't good. Um, but I just had like a lot to say, and I really loved like finding beats. Um,
Yeah.
so once I got myself out there and I was in this weird in between place of like, wow, I'm about to like start at this amazing like music industry school and I'm performing and people are now like recognizing my songs. Like that was the beginning of people like responding with Nazar where the music at concerts and stuff like that. I was like,
Yeah, right.
yeah, I was like, I gotta put out a plan to drop. So I was like, I bet. I have a big habit of just like immediately kind of like hitting the ground running. So I did that my first month at NYU. Got Nazar where the music got mixed and mastered, just like from people I met the first day type shit. Shot the picture for the cover, creative directed that, styled that, shot that, and released it last day in September because I was like, nah, like I can't be at this school with all this like all these kids who have like discographies, bro. I gotta have at least one song. And then hit the ground running. Eventually college became college. Dropped one more song at the end of 2022. And then I didn't
Mm-hmm.
drop until March of 2024, and I actually dropped the rest of all of those songs that I had performed that people always ask me about. And
Right.
my
That's Nas, and yeah, that's Nas archives, right?
yeah, in his archives. My goal with that was literally just to show people like, okay, I was at that point aware of the fact that for the most part, except for like Ego Off the Shelf, I'm pretty much the same exact person that is rapping on Ego Off the Shelf. But like with Self Love Outro and definitely Melting Point of Ice and also even Nazar where the music at in some ways too, I had like grown a lot. And I knew that whatever I released next, even though I didn't know it was going to be 1446, I knew that it was going to be a lot more serious, and sound a lot different and just be a lot more mature than what was like in my vault. So I was like, nah, I gotta drop in his archives just to have this iconic moment documented in history of who I was when I was like low key overly confident and just like running around Washington Heights at 16 with so much freedom.
Right. And like for you to do for you to do that when you're in school and still kind of like making a name for yourself and really coming into your own, like what was the response from people like when you put out in his archives? Like how did people feel about it?
Yo, people really love Naz Archives, which I didn't expect at all. I saw Naz Archives as like, I was really big into Tyler the Creator when he was like constantly dropping like throwaways that like people who like are maybe newer fans don't even know about. And I quite literally modeled Naz Archives like after that. I was like, this is a throwaway. This is like, if you care, you care. I was telling everyone, oh, I'm dropping a throwaway throwaway tape. If you care, you care. Y'all love Nazar with the music at. Oh, okay, I'll put that on it. Okay, let me just put these 3 songs. And then I dropped that in March. I'm thinking in my head by May, I'm going to have something else because this is a throwaway. People really like loved it and responded with it. And I really had to sit with like Naz Archives for like a year just because of how much people wanted me to perform it, wanted like visuals for it, shoots for it, like interviews, music curators posting it in playlists. Like it ended up really like being my first project and not just like a throwaway. So
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
And then I mean and then like you take that energy you take that energy from Nazar Where the Music At and Naz Archives, and you really start to dig into the project that becomes 1446.
Yeah.
First off, why 1446? What's the significance of that? I don't normally ask that question because it's kind of like the why the title, like basic question, but like I genuinely am very curious to know like why is this called 1446?
It's the Islamic year that we're in right now. Like, so Islam its own calendar. Like, we're in the year 1446.
Got it, yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it started like last May or June and is ending like in a couple days, actually. Like, probably tomorrow or something like that. And I felt like a lot of the growth that I experienced like aligned with the dates in like our calendar without even really being aware of like what the Islamic calendar was, like where we were in it at the time. So 1446 just felt right.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So I mean like as a person in this year, like whether we're going the Arabic calendar or the Gregorian calendar, like just as a reminder, how old are you?
I'm 20.
You're like,
I just turned 21. Like,
you just turned 21. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, I knew your birthday just passed, but I couldn't remember the age. So you're 21.
Yeah.
Like this is like you're like you're just now like drinking age. Like this is very much like new era type shit for you in like the literal and figurative sense. So like break down, like talk to me about how these songs started coming together and what's going on in your mind and like which of these 4 songs came first. I mean, and of course, like shout out to Miles Krieger who produced damn near the whole project, like the boy, we love him. But yeah, it's like talk to me about putting this whole project together and what it said about you.
So yeah, I think connecting it to Naz Archives, I didn't expect that response. I was overwhelmed with love and gratitude, but also anxiety because I was like, wait, why does everyone like my raps when I was like 16 so much? Like, what if I peaked in high school? And like, I put a lot of pressure on myself to kind of like recreate Naz Archives, and that wasn't working. And so I felt really uninspired, and I didn't write music out of like the joy and the love for it for like a year. Like everything that I wrote was like a school assignment. Low key, that's it. Like it was literally a school assignment. Okay, I'm gonna write for school. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then when I was in Abu Dhabi, I didn't have any music classes. Like I was there strictly pursuing my minor. which is not at all in the arts. So I finally had the space to like have music be an outlet again, and I didn't really have any distractions around me, because even though Abu Dhabi is a giant city, it's nothing's like New York, bro. Like, you could put me in any city in the world besides maybe like Shanghai, and it's always gonna feel like a calm vacation to me. So Abu Dhabi felt to me like living in the suburbs. Like, I was oftentimes like bored out of my mind and like had nothing to do besides like think about music again, from like the same kind of perspective I had in high school when there wasn't as much pressure on it. And Miles ended up sending me, well, I can't remember if Miles or Zayn had hit me up first, but I believe it was Miles, and he sent me a beat pack of just like mad beats, and it was the first time I had heard instrumentals that really like, nah, I gotta slide on this. I'm automatically hearing flows. I already know what I want to say on this. Like, I know, until Miles motherfucking Krieger hit me up and sent me those beats, and I immediately started writing The Sun. I had seen that video of, I believe his name is Ousmane Sebenier, but he's considered like the godfather of African cinematography. He's from Senegal, genius filmmaker. And there's a very famous interview clip of someone from France asking him if his movies are understood in Europe. And he was like, I don't care. I don't know. If they do, cool. Me that. Do you understand my films? Like, are my films understood in Africa? Like, Africa is my center. Africa is the sun. Africa is my focus. There's this interview where like he essentially says that, and I always wanted to sample it. And I don't know, for some reason I just was like, okay, cool. I know this will eventually have Usman like speaking on it, and I just wrote a verse according to like what he was saying. So The Sun came first, and then I believe after that Zayn had sent me the beat and the hook and his verse for Float On, and was like, I think you should slide on this. And once I got on it, I wrote like the most meaningful verse I've ever written. And I asked him if I could keep the song for my project, my future project. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Wow. And then you know, from there, like that, you know, like that one song, The Sun, becomes, you know, 3 other songs that eventually form the spine of this you know, like, it's a 4-track EP, but it very much feels like a hey, here I am, I'm 21, this is the type of time I'm on now. How did these other 3 songs come together, particularly Downside? Because Downside, I mean, like, it being the single, it feels like the obvious cheap answer, but that's the one that I keep coming back. Like that and Running are my 2 favorites on here.
Word.
So how did Downside come together? And yeah.
Yeah, so Downside was produced by Otto. I don't want to mispronounce his last name. I believe it's Smotries. But Otto is just like another kid from New York City going to music school. He just graduated from Berklee School of Music.
Word.
And I think he found me through like mutual friends or just like New York community or something like that, and hit me up while I was on my last trip to Tunisia and was like, can I send you beats? And I was like, yeah, sure. And Otto is crazy. Like, for real, Otto, like, he's just like a one-stop shop. Like, he produces, he mixes, he masters, and he does all of it really, really quick and really, really, really well. And he's also just like super kind. And I think Downside wouldn't have been what it was, even if someone else made the exact same beat, if he had not been in the room with me while I was writing it. Because one, basically he hit me up and he was like, I'll come down from Berklee and like come back home and we can like run a studio session like 2 days for a weekend. I'm like, cool. I'm working on this project on a deadline though, so you're gonna have to come like during like Ramadan. Like, I'm gonna be fasting. And he was like, all right, cool. And he pulled up and wrote the song with me, like, when I'm at, like, the worst point in my fast. Like I was like, and I wrote, like, all of the lyrics, but he, like, let's say, like, I think Nazar gonna do it, that part. like I wrote that, and he was like, that's a good pre-chorus. Like he really helped me like put the puzzle together with what I was writing. And same with running. Claire and actually mostly Claire. She's the other songwriter, and that's the only.
Yeah, shout out to Claire. She was our intern at Hearing Things. Sorry, I just had to say that. Yeah, she was.
No,
yeah.
Shout out to Nichols. I love her so much. She's
talented. Shout out to Claire.
But yeah, Claire's the only other songwriter I've ever collaborated with for one of my own songs. And she really helped me order the song in a way that I wouldn't have before. So yeah, Otto just came down. We recorded one day we wrote it one day when I was fasting, went to go break my fast at a family dinner, hit the studio the next day after I had already broken my fast, like at night, so that my voice didn't sound like dry and stuff like that. Recorded the whole thing. And then he just mixed and mastered it like pretty much on his own. And that was basically how the song was finished.
Wow. Literal hunger is fucking crazy.
No wonder I was crashing out, bro.
Right. But yeah, like it's like, like it's interesting that you bring up that like this is all happening during Ramadan, and I assume this is right before Eid happened, right?
It was actually the first week of Ramadan, so Eid wasn't until 3 weeks later.
Gotcha. Yes. Okay. So this is at like the beginning of Ramadan. Yeah. Got you. So like it's interesting you bring that up because like all of these songs are very much you like not even grappling with, but just kind of just like displaying like your faith and how that kind of is incorporated in the way you move through the world and the way you talk and the way you think, and just like this whole like it really is just like I'm just like I'm like a Muslim girl from New York City. This is me. Let me get my shit off. I'm literally fasting right now. So like let me just spit this out. Like I just like how when like from the time that you've started recording, how would you how would you say your faith, how would you say you've incorporated your faith into the way you make music?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if you had asked me when I started recording, like, if faith is a part of my music, I think I would have said no, which sounds ridiculous when you listen to Bug's Life or Ego, even Ego Off the Shelf. I'm like, God got my back.
Right.
All of my songs I talk about God in, except maybe like 2. But it wasn't like, it sounds so crazy, but it wasn't conscious. Like, it only became conscious, like, in terms of how I want to like integrate my faith with the music, maybe last spring or last summer. Because even though I've always been Muslim, I was born and raised into a Muslim family, Islam was not something that I intentionally practiced every day until the Ramadan before the one this year, like until 2024, like that Ramadan, which just like actually transformed my life, alhamdulillah. But yeah, I think some people are like born with a certain like a love for faith, like whether like not even saying God is real or God isn't real or whatever in this conversation, just like some people love to believe in things, and I've always been like that. Even when I was really anxious and depressed and bitter and thought I wasn't like that, I was. And I'm really glad that my music is like a personal archive of the fact that has always been true for me. So yeah, it was always there, not intentionally, until about a year ago.
Mm-hmm. What changed?
Just, I don't even know. I've been trying to figure that out like for the past like almost year and a half, but like last the Ramadan before the one that just passed really just like switched something for me. I've always observed, I've always fasted, I've always prayed, but there was something about doing it in 2024 where like it didn't just feel like a month, but it felt like something that I always wanted to carry with me. And I just had really, really bad, crippling, horrible anxiety and mental health for a long time. And it was something that I was really ashamed of and not a lot of people knew about, but I just was like not happy at all for a long time, like for many, many years of my life. And something about being mindful and being humble and being in service to something greater than me and to people are who are outside of me just really transformed my life, and it became something that I didn't want to ever lose again.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, like to be completely upfront, like I'm not somebody who's particularly religious. I was raised Christian. Both my parents were Christian. I went to church until I was maybe about 10 or 11 years old. Eventually, they both defected. My mom has since gone back to the church.
Mm.
My dad is just kind of whatever, and they gave us a choice as kids, like, do you have a relationship with God? If you do, cool, go to church. If not, we're not going to force you to anymore. But to me, I mean, like, I'm really stuck on the idea of belief and faith, because like faith doesn't, I mean like faith for you is something that's become like very explicitly religious.
Mm-hmm.
But like faith is something that I think anybody can have, and it doesn't necessarily need to be in a higher power. It could be faith in the people around you, faith in yourself, faith in like that, like like belief and faith are two things that are just like integral to life. Like as a conscious person, like you have to wake up believing that like your lungs are going to work to be able to push air and blood through your body, or else you're going to die. Like like it's like or like or like even just having the faith to not think about that and for it to just happen, like. So but I feel like I'm getting a little too esoteric and off the topic, but I'm just always fascinated and interested in the way people express their faith, particularly like I'm like in any sort of art, but like particularly in music. And
Mm-hmm.
like obviously it's like I have very complicated feelings and thoughts about religion that are mine and mine alone. but like like just like listening to the way that you talk about your faith and seeing the way that you incorporate your faith into being a politically aware young person
Mm-hmm.
is really fucking amazing to me. Like like just seeing the way that you've shown up for everything happening in Palestine, and like everything everything that's been happening all across the country with ICE, and like you're very like you've been very tapped in and are like working, like doing your due diligence to make sure that like you're being of service to people, while also just being like, hey, like these are all things you should know about, because like this is like, if anybody's gonna get bucking active, this is the time to get bucking active. Like as somebody who's like as somebody who has very 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 minor organizing experience, but has been boots on the ground in certain situations and scenarios, it's like it just always makes me happy to see that happen. And like particularly I don't know, just like the way you do it and the way you make it work through your relationship to music and religion is really dope to me. I hope that wasn't just like word salad just
It
now.
makes sense. It totally makes sense. And also for me too, like my goal with 1446 is not like to like convert anybody or like to make them feel a particular way about my beliefs, but it's really to encourage people to like find whatever fucking a healthy outlet that
Healthy outlet, man. Yeah.
makes you feel better and makes you a better person. Find that and cling to that and invest in it and dedicate time to it. And whatever that is for you, bro, follow that. Like whoever is listening to my EP, like follow that. And just know that like
Yeah.
all rap music needs to like not to sound like an auntie, but it doesn't need to encourage you to like do some dumb shit.
It doesn't need to. Yeah, you're right.
I love music like that.
Yeah,
like I'm from New York, bro. I'm about to hop off this and listen to drill probably, but no,
come on. Yeah,
that needs to be like that.
of course. Yeah, no, it's all about balance, and yeah, like I hope I'm not coming at it from a perspective of like I hope what I'm saying isn't putting forth the idea that I think you're like telling people to
no,
do whatever. No. Because
yeah.
Yeah, no, because like that's like 1,000% not what I'm saying. I just like, yeah, I'm just always like attuned to the way that people express, like like the way they see the world, obviously, but like particularly like how they just how just like their relationship with those outlets.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like like especially as somebody who's not really found like who kind of moves through the world fairly secularly, you know, like at this point in my life. So I'm just always I'm always interested in that
Yeah.
because it's just interesting to me. And yeah, I'm just like this is the first full joint of yours I've heard, or rather up until we decided to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I've of course heard Nazar's archives, but being like 1446 was the first one where I like gave a whole Sumaya Nazar project a listen, and I was just like, you know, like for you to be 21 and for this to be your second project, but really your first like statement as like this is who I am, and like have it not be 5-year-old music that held up really really well, but is ultimately 5-year-old music. Like I was just like the sense of control and just like sense of self. There's a sense of self on this project that a lot of people twice your age don't have. You know, like not to sound wild or anything, but like there's like some people who like, I mean, like life is constantly searching for yourself. Like it never really ends. But there are some people who have a firmer grip on the type of person they are than others. And listening to your shit, I'm just like, yeah, like this person knows who they are, and they'll figure out the rest of life as it comes. But I'm here. This is who I am. You know, like you literally have your whole life ahead of you. Like in the same, yeah. So like it's anything could change, but I just I'm looking forward to sitting with this more and seeing you grow. You know, because like this is just like if you and Miles and Zane and everybody and Claire are at this level now, and y'all are like, you know, like Miles is a little older, but like y'all are like in your early to mid 20s. You know, like if you're here now, you know, like what's a year from now gonna what's 6 months gonna look like from now?
Nah, 100%.
You know?
That's exactly how I feel, and everything that you just said, like that really means a lot, because that was the goal, and like it means so much to know that that's received, especially by someone who has a critical ear and like has good opinions about music and like is a trusted voice in the hip-hop community, like 100%.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot. I'm just, you know, like I'm just happy. I'm happy to be trusted. I don't take trust for granted, like ever. So, you know, like to hear that is really cool. And it just like, we met at a show. We met at Loudmouth. I don't remember when, but we definitely met at Loudmouth.
For sure.
Like it's been like a year and change, and I'm just blanking on I'm just blanking on when exactly it was. But just like from then, you know, like seeing you and meeting you and seeing your stuff proliferate, and once again just seeing the way that you've been speaking out about all the injustices and bullshit that's been happening, and just like the way you've taken a stand and the way you just like make music and communicate is just, it's great. I think you're doing great. I think you should keep doing what you do, you know.
I definitely will, inshallah, as long as I'm able to. Yeah. I will.
Yeah, no, like please, yeah, no, like please don't stop. I wish I had more time to keep this going, because I have like quite a few more questions, but I have I need to dip because we got our thing to do. But before we do that, very last question for you, Sumaya, if your life was a movie, what would it be about?
Okay, also, I did not notice this before, but my name is Sumaya, so I do just want to let you know that. My bad.
I'm so sorry. No.
I promise it's okay. It happens a lot, so like, don't worry about it.
Yeah, either way, Sumaya, Sumaya, if your life was a movie, what would it be about?
My life was a movie, what would it be about? Ooh, I think actually more important than me is like the story of how my family from the South, my grandma from Haiti, and my dad from Tunis got to New York. Because I feel like then it's like you don't even really need to know about me because you know all the backstory. So I feel like my life story would actually be about the people who are like so much smarter and more capable and more amazing than me, who I was lucky enough to have raised me.
Oh, that's incredible. I love that answer.
Yeah.
Just like that might be the most selfless answer I've gotten to that question. And I've asked that question to a lot of people. Not to say that anybody like gave a bad or selfish answer, but just like I live through my people
No,
is
100%.
like such a
yeah.
That's a beautiful answer. I'd like to think that I'd say the same thing if somebody asked me that question, but I'd probably say I'm like Tuxedo Sam from Hello Kitty or some shit like that. That's just
No,
that's just where I'm at.
No, that's my second answer.
Yo, but Sumaya, thank you so much for like coming to do this and just like taking time out of your day and yeah, I don't know, like it's like I guess I'll say it again, just seeing the way that you've already gone about establishing yourself and are standing 10 toes with this really solid project, and just like this really is like the beginning, like I'm just like even thinking about it, it's just like, yeah, like I know we're gonna talk again in like 2-3 years and this is gonna be an entirely different conversation.
For sure. I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, you and me both. But yeah, like thank you so much again for taking the time and just like for doing what you do and being unapologetically you, like that's what we need more of,
Yeah, thank you, and good luck with your event tonight. I wish I could make it, but I know y'all are gonna kill it. Shout out Hearing Things to the fucking and yeah. Yeah.
Damn, we might need you to do drops or some shit at some point. Thank you. That means so much.
Thanks for listening. Shout out to y'all for making it this far. And shout out to all the Black people listening too, because y'all really impeccable. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell a friend to come through next time. 1.